This is Doc Deason's weather.
You're watching Doc Deason's weather.
Two decades of severe weather experience here for you when it counts. This is Doc Deason's weather, live now.
All right, here we go again. At 7:19, we've got new tornado warning now active for folks in the south and eastern part of the area. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we have on the radar. And the area of concern now is going to be there more pronounced just to the west of Broadus. If you're trying to pinpoint some larger population centers there, warning continues out for folks in, we'll call it central Angelina County, southeastern Nacogdoches, and central St. Augustine County until 8 o'clock. Storm there capable of a tornado. And Weather Service went ahead with the warning in response to that, and we'll try to center that up a little bit better on the screen for you there. Storm capable of a tornado 6 miles south of Atoll, or about 19 miles east of Lufkin, moving northeast at 35. So that's what brings us back here. As this storm has now passed as well north and east of Huntington. To give you some additional landmarks there, you guys, St. Augustine, you are inside the polygon at this point. Chirino, you're in it as well, but I think the real concern is going to be down here south of you guys, and looks as though that's probably going to continue passing off to the south. If you're in Broadus, we need you to be taking those tornado precautions at this time. All right, this thing's coming up on you pretty fast. And there's not a lot of distance between us and you guys there. Weather Service is keeping a much closer eye on this particular pocket in here. Thinks that they may have noticed what looks like maybe some debris potentially as this thing came across. Sam Rayburn here a short time ago. Here's the velocity product. You can see, again, a pretty pronounced wind signature in there at the very least, and this may be somewhat of that debris signature that they're talking about. But again, you guys who are in Broadus, and particularly on the north side of Broadus, we need to be in that tornado safe place. At this time, let's talk about that. As it's of course 7:20 in the morning, and a lot of folks with spring break in play and whatnot. So we're not necessarily in as prime a position as we might be otherwise. But again, regardless of that centermost part of the building or the structure that you're in, you want to be on the lowest floor. All right, weaker. The structure becomes weaker as you move further off from that foundation. So let's stay down lowest floor as we can. Small interior rooms or closets, those are good. They have a smaller profile to them, and typically are a little bit more fortified than some of the other surrounding construction. Bathtubs with a heavy blanket. If you want to hop in the bathtub, throw a good heavy blanket over the top of you, maybe a comforter off the bed, something like that. That'll work good in most cases, and we're always encouraging folks to do that. Avoid windows. That's the number one rule of this kind of thing, with the glass in those windows being the weakest part of any structure that you are in. We want to avoid large open rooms like gymnasiums, in auditoriums, things of that nature. Those large spans of steel and whatnot can not be nearly as fortified as those smaller profile areas like we talked about with the closets and whatnot. We don't want to seek shelter underneath an overpass either. Vehicles are not an option unless you're driving away from the storm, and we need to know the direction the storm's going before you start to do that. So, but that's not a place you want to just all of a sudden try to hunker down with one of these things coming down on you. Evacuation of mobile homes is always something that we encourage. Since it doesn't take nearly as much wind to damage mobile homes or flip them as it would otherwise. And of course, we think the same of RVs. A lot of folks who RV these days, and that's their mainline spot where they are at. So if you are in a situation like that, or perhaps you're doing some camping here for spring break week, we want to take that under advisement as well and get to a more fortified area than the RV itself. Shoes and helmets, always good. Shoes are especially important, particularly in a situation like this when a lot of folks are just now maybe hopping up or trying to get themselves oriented with something of this nature coming on at this hour of the day. So we want to keep those ideas in mind. Okay, back to the radar real quick. Again, tornado warning until 8 o'clock officially for folks who are in extreme, we'll call it northeastern Angelina County, or southeastern Angelina County, should say, as well as Nacogdoches County. And this thing will clip over into San Augustine County as well. Here's a new scan from the Weather Service and their radar in Shreveport. This thing has just about completely exited out of Angelina County. Sam Rayburn, though, again, a lot of folks along the lake at this time of day, and particularly this week. So we want to be assured that those folks are up to speed on what's going on. The bulk of the storm crossing the lake now, and we'll be coming out the other end of that over into San Augustine County here shortly, as these different county lines kind of converge along that lake. So you guys who have interest down there on the lake, if you have anybody who may be potentially camping, particularly if they're on the far east side of the lake and they're not particularly aware of what's going on, you might give them a call, or shoot them a text, and we want to be sure that we get those folks up to speed on what's going on. 7:20, coming up on 7:26 here shortly. We are going to continue to walk this thing across as we try to do during tornado warning situations. For the warning for southern San Augustine County and southern Angelina County here at this time. Southern Nacogdoches County is also included in that. A lot of heavy rain in this thing as well, and as well as quite a bit of lightning. Haven't seen much in the way of hail production, it looks like, at least on what we're seeing from the radar here. But the rain is obviously welcome. The other stuff, not so much. But we do want to keep folks apprised of what is happening here over the, particularly when this severe weather warning in place. Storm Prediction Center has looked at potentially some type of a watch box for our area. They were kind of sitting on the fence with it here a little bit ago. We'll see if this doesn't tip them over the edge with that, but I don't have anything official from them yet, but I know they are watching the area and are going to be potentially making a move on some kind of a watch over the next hour or so. Weather Service in Shreveport continues to keep an eye on this, and they're seeing some of the same things I think that I'm seeing here. Velocity signature, it looks like it's weakening a little bit, and seems to have cycled back up. This is the same one that we were talking about here half hour or so ago, whenever we were on earlier. So they're going to let this thing ride for now and see kind of how it acts over the next couple of minutes, and that's obviously a good thing to do. Don't want to call it off too early, but also at least if you've got that product in place, it allows folks to remain in their safe spot until the storm has passed. Well, we'll watch it here for another few more minutes and see how it acts. And they may end up pulling this thing early, but we'll let them be the decision makers on that. So Always want to do that. As far as the rest of the area is concerned, this morning, again, we normally will do a 7 o'clock update with a 7-day forecast, and I was still in the process of putting that together when all this hit the fan, so to speak. So we will see showers and thunderstorms get across the area today and continue to do so. The severe weather potential is going to remain there. SPC has pretty much all of the area underneath their slight risk window for severe weather today, and so that's going to be something we're going to have to keep an eye on as we go through the morning hours at least, and we get this big upper low across the area, or the big trough, I guess, probably better said. Get it across the area today. We do have some much drier air back on the other side of the DFW Metroplex that's going to work its way in this afternoon. And as that happens, that'll help to spell the end of the rain, and we will be cooler tomorrow. I think we'll be good to hit mid-60s tomorrow for a high. We're at 62 right now here at my place, so we'll be good to hit that or something close to that tomorrow afternoon for a high. And I think a lot of folks will be kind of excited about that as well. So let's get back in here and see what we can see real fast. All right. So still looks like more wind straight line than anything else in this, at least at the present time. So we'll watch that here. Weather Service has gone ahead and cleared out Angelina County portion of this warning, which is good, seeing as the storm has exited out of there. And it's not far from exiting out of the southern Nacogdoches portion of the warning as well, but they'll keep Nacogdoches and St. Augustine County in there for now. And again, lots of heavy rain there as this thing gets across Sam Rayburn. So here's a loop that'll take you back a few minutes. You can kind of watch the progression of this. As the sun comes up over Toledo Bend, that's what this deep, kind of this darker shading to the left and the lighter shading to the right, indicating where the sun is at, and kind of kind of the Terminator, so to speak, showing you where the dark is from the light. Wade asking, severe storms more likely north or south of I-20 today? Man, I think south is going to be the bigger play today than north, although there will be some potential north of the interstate here this morning. I think the southern piece of it is going to hang in there longer into the afternoon, and when you can get the daytime heating involved, that's always something that can tend to kind of throttle things up. So we'll see, but I do feel like the southern area will be the spot that will be a little bit more has a little more potential to it. We'll just say that compared to north of I-20 today. But we'll be watching it area wide. So we try to keep a hand on about 26 counties around this area. So it's a pretty decent little patch of real estate. So again, this is the only warning that we have out in the area. Weather Service got a little special weather statement playing down towards I-45 for that storm north of Huntsville. And then this warned storm here, which has been pretty persistent over the last hour or so. So we'll get back a little bit tighter in on it. Here comes a new scan from the Weather Service. Yeah, been pretty dry in Tyler. Got some rain on the ground this morning. Got about 30. I had 2,800s in the gauge here when I went out and dumped it at 7 o'clock. So it's good to have some moisture. We sure could use a lot more given the drought situation, but we'll take what we can get. Just going to continue to keep a focus on this piece of real estate down here into St. Augustine County here for a bit. Yeah, Wade, we'd all love another radar between Shreveport and Dallas, man, or Fort Worth. We would all be excited about that. That's something that's been talked about for quite a number of years, honestly. But it is a huge ticket item when it comes to funding. Man, those things are the type that you want is going to be really, really a very pricey endeavor. So, but that is something that's been talked about for quite a number of years, and has gained some traction over the last few years. Excuse me. It's not, and I don't think is off the table completely, but it's something that's going to take it's going to be quite a lift to get something like that in play. We are one of those radar spots that is one of the weaker ones across the U.S., if you ask me, though, with the number of people that we have here. So, Weather Service said they're going to continue this. They're going to let this warning. We're going to let this thing run until 8. So they're calling this they're looking at this as a confirmed tornado here, and I believe that is based on what they determined to be a debris signature as it was crossing over Sam Rayburn. So that's kind of where we're at on this, at least at the present time. So they're going to continue to run this thing and consider it a confirmed tornado. Because of what they had noticed earlier when it was back over the reservoir. So that gives us about another 24 minutes or so. We're coming up on 7:36 now. So tornado warning for St. Augustine County and extreme southern Nacogdoches County. Although I think really the bulk of the concern is going to be sitting over St. Augustine County now. Yeah, I agree with that, Wade, 100%. And Gary, you are correct. The funding for the maintenance on these things is what kills you. It's one thing to get it in place; it's another thing to keep it running. And just ask the TV stations about that; they'll tell you it's quite a battle to do that. All right, 7:36 coming up on 7:37. Tornado warning for St. Augustine County. In extreme southern Nacogdoches County this morning. The storm itself, the tornado producing piece of it, is going to be over into St. Augustine County now. If we've got something, it's going to be in this area here. Okay, near Broadus, just north of Broadus, probably more appropriately said. So if you are in that area of St. Augustine County, just let's go ahead and be sure we're in our tornado safe spot now. You can see this when we zoom out. This is the area of concern right here. Okay? So just so everybody's kind of on the same page. Weather Service believes they did note a debris signature when this thing was back over Sam Rayburn 15 minutes or so ago. And so they're going to run with this as an observed tornado because of what they noticed on the radar when it was there near the reservoir. So we'll go with them and see if we can make out any additional heads or tails on the thing. It's a good wind. It's a good wind signature with it, if nothing else. Some 60 to some 60 or so mile-an-hour winds there with it in that little area. Providing the latest weather information on a 24-hour basis. Broadcasts originate from the National Weather Service office in Shreveport, Louisiana. All right. So you guys, southwest of St. Augustine, this thing is moving in your general direction with northeast movement at about 25 to 30 miles an hour. So if you are on the southeast side or southwest side of St. Augustine, you need to be prepared to make that move to your tornado safe spot here shortly as this thing comes up on you from the southwest. Again, moving on this thing was northeast at 30. So that has us in St. Augustine at about 8:08. Okay. Give you a few markers in there. Not many organized communities between here and there, but we'll put it St. Augustine at a little after 8 o'clock. Okay. About 8:08, 8:09. The warning itself set to expire at 8 o'clock. So do understand that. That's why it stretches out a little bit past that expiration time. But at least it gives you some kind of idea of what we're looking at with forward speed and estimated time of arrival. But if you are between St. Augustine and Highway 103 down there southwest of you, need to be in that tornado safe spot now until we're able to either get this thing dissipated or past your location. Okay. So I do want to stress that. See if we can put some additional smaller communities in here. So here's 103. Again, not a whole lot in there. Was 29.87 inches and falling. It was 63 degrees with lighter in the around the local area. Yeah, you guys in Broad Escabby, y'all are now south of this, so you're okay there. Now, I haven't seen any spotter reports on this thing. At least none that have come through to me. Like I said earlier, this is not an area that the spotters like to noodle around much in because it's so difficult to see because of the trees and the varied terrain. It's just it's an unfortunate area when it comes to that. And so much of the spotter oxygen was consumed out in West Texas last night and up in the Midwest yesterday and last night. the folks that are going to be on this kind of storm are going to probably be local folks who have to work, but can get loose enough to noodle around some in this thing, but haven't seen much. Yeah, Jamie, a lot of big woods in that area. Yeah, a whole lot. We were driving down to Jasper a couple of years ago with my wife and our daughter, and I was amazed. I'm always amazed at just how tall the trees are down in this neck of the woods. And, it's just, when you think about it from a weather perspective and trying to spot and do that type of thing, it's almost silly to try to consider it. It's really, really tough. Really, really tough. All right, so we're at 7:43 now, so we got 17 more minutes on this warning. Weather Service going to run it until 8 o'clock for St. Augustine County. And thanks, Angela. Appreciate you. So we're going to keep an eye on this thing until either the Weather Service decides to cancel it or the thing expires. This is the same storm, if you're just now hopping on, that had tornado warnings out for southern Angelina and Nacogdoches counties back during about the 6:35 that the first one came out. And so this storm has, at least for a time, looked like it was producing some damage when it was over Sam Rayburn. And so Weather Service has gone ahead and hung that confirmed tornado or observed tornado tag on it. And until we get some indication that this thing is completely died out, they're gonna walk this thing up to 8 o'clock, and so we'll hang here with you while they do that. Other showers and thunderstorms around the area this morning. The more pronounced stuff is south of the interstate. That's also where the better overall air mass is. The better conditions are going to be situated across the southern half of the area today. 7:44, radar indicated tornado remains in effect. Tornado warning until 8 o'clock. So Weather Service is going to continue that here. They've trimmed out some of the polygon. Courtney's asking about Tyler. We'll keep an eye out, Courtney, here through lunchtime for any stronger storms that could potentially try to get themselves in play. I think a lot of the severe weather that we deal with today is probably going to be south and southeastern parts of East Texas. We'll see what ends up happening. But given the fact that we still have this big trough coming in from the west, we'll have a better environment. We'll have a better environment for storms here through the afternoon until we get this cold front through here this afternoon, and then that'll shut the process down from west to east pretty profoundly. So the Weather Service is going to continue the warning until expiration time, which will be 8 o'clock. And they're wondering now if when it went across Sam Rayburn, if it may have produced a waterspout, which would make sense. I guess that may account for some of what they were wondering was a debris signature. But it definitely looks, at least the velocity product does not look as pronounced as it did here a few cycles ago. But we'll see what it does. Still a lot of heavy rain into St. Augustine, the town of St. Augustine proper now. Let's see here. CWA. Yeah, so Storm Prediction Center, they're going to continue their slight risk for most of East Texas through the day, and that'll include pretty much everybody from, we'll say, Quitman up to Mount Pleasant and back south and east. That'll include Tyler and Longview and Lufkin and Nacogdoches and St. Augustine and Sabine counties. So that's something that we'll be watching for storms here throughout the day. I think our better tornado potential, though, is going to be across the southern 2/3 of the area, we'll say, kind of like what we talked about earlier. And that's what SPC is kind of where they've got the better potential for that also across those that southeastern 2/3 of East Texas. All right, so it looks like this may be some of the transition process starting to take hold. Let's do this here.
Severe thunderstorm warning.
All right, so the Weather Service is going to go with a severe thunderstorm warning. That's going to cover, let's see here, northwestern Sabine County, northern St. Augustine, and southeastern Shelby County. Until 8:30, storm located near San Augustine or 20 miles south of center, moving northeast at 30. So they're looking at the potential for quarters and 60-mile-an-hour winds with that. So that would be this storm here that had produced the tornado warning. And it looks like they're at least going to carry this thing further downstream with that severe thunderstorm warning tag. So we'll see how this plays into the tornado warning, which is 7:50. We got about 10 more minutes on that officially. But the good news is that instead of going further downstream with a tornado warning, they've gone downstream with a severe thunderstorm warning, which I'll take. Doesn't mean you can't have some problems, and the 60-mile-an-hour winds and or some hail can cause problems, particularly if you're in a vulnerable position like an RV or something like that, doing some camping or whatnot, mobile homes, things of that nature. So we don't want to let the guard down completely, but that is something, at least in this case, to be mindful of. And again, too, it brings up another good point. Toledo Bend is going to be inside of this polygon, and that is, going to be another prime area where you have a lot of folks out RVing, camping, doing some of the fun stuff you get to do on spring break. So if you've got folks who are on that northern half of Toledo Bend, maybe doing some camping, and you're not sure that they're aware of what's coming at them, you might give them a holler, shoot them a text, or give them a call and let them know what's kind of coming up the street at them, because we don't want folks to get caught in a bad compromised position, especially during the morning hours like this, when a lot of times folks can be a little bit less engaged on what's going on. So we're at 7:52 now. We'll continue officially, at least the Weather Service, with the tornado warning for St. Augustine County. They've got Nacogdoches County still in there, the southeastern part of Nacogdoches County, but the storm, the real issue, it looks to me, is going to be over St. Augustine County proper. But they will let that, they said, run until it expires at 8 o'clock. And then we'll carry the severe thunderstorm warning further downstream. Some hefty rainfall into the city of St. Augustine proper now, and it's only going to get heavier for you guys in the central part of town, and especially southeastern part of town, as this the heavier rainfall moves in from kind of the southwest. There's some pretty decent lightning in there, too. Although lightning production doesn't look quite as impressive as it did earlier. Some Ville values here. That's kind of odd. All right, we'll just stick with this. All right, so we've got heavy rainfall now into and well north of the city of St. Augustine, kind of gradually covering up the town there. But that heavy rainfall gets over into southern Shelby County too now. So good to have the rain. And again, you guys in Shelby County and northern Sabine County now involved in that severe thunderstorm warning. And that'll run until that runs until 8:30. Yeah, 8:30. So Weather Service has gone ahead and reoriented this tornado warning. They've pulled the Nacogdoches portion out of it and just left it strictly in St. Augustine County. So we'll see if there's anything there. That St. Augustine portion is still up for another 4 minutes or so. Hard to know what you're dealing with on the leading edge of this. Right there on the east side of St. Augustine. If it's just wind or whatnot. So about another 3 minutes on the tornado warning itself. Showers back through Nacogdoches and some good rainfall across Shelby County this morning, even ahead of this storm here. And looks like the Houston Weather Service office has a special weather statement out for this little pocket that is going to run into Trinity and Houston County. So here's Trinity right here. So wind gust to 40, potentially with that. Okay, so just be mindful of that. You guys in extreme southwestern Trinity County and extreme southern Houston County. Can't get much further south and west in Houston County than that, but good to know. Tammy said your son's working in St. Augustine. Said it's really dark. Yeah, I don't doubt that a bit. Let's look at this thing from Fort Polk again. Yeah, it's probably really dark with the leading edge of that storm coming in like it is. I bet, and the sun off to the cleared area off to the east. I bet it lights it pretty interestingly there. Thanks for that, Tammy. Appreciate it. So we'll let this thing run for another minute and a half or so. And then, barring something unforeseen, be able to put the tornado warning to bed. Again, you guys in Hemp Hill, unfortunately, the rain is going to stay well north of you. I know some folks will just take the rain however they can get it, but this will be something that just really more or less kind of clips Sabine County, extreme northern Sabine County, with that heavy rainfall. And there comes 8 o'clock right there. And there goes our tornado warning. Neat how that works, isn't it? So again, showers and thunderstorms, will continue to watch those as we go through the morning hours. And I think we'll have to pay particular attention to what goes on down in this southern 2/3 of East Texas through the morning and into the afternoon, ahead of the passage of this big trough that's coming in from out west, and anything that can get cranked up with the assistance of some daytime heating this afternoon as well. So we'll be here to watch things as we need to through the day. But as we talked about and have in the past, when we have tornado warnings particularly in place, I like to come on and handle those specifically, and or any real destructive severe thunderstorm warnings that we have. So if this is your first time on here, thanks for hopping on with us, and we will do more as we need to throughout the day when it comes to severe weather and the like. Hopefully we won't have as much of it to deal with, but we know we are in that time of year when we usually do. And so we'll be back in as we need to throughout the morning. But follow us on the other social platforms, on X, and and especially on YouTube, with people who sometimes don't have much presence on X or on Facebook, but they do manage to noodle around a good bit on YouTube. So that's why we try to stream there and hope it's a help to you, and or maybe somebody that you care about. But for now, we'll step out for this and finish up on the normal stuff that we do during the 7 o'clock hour, which is give you a 7-day forecast and a write-up on that. And we'll talk more as we need to throughout the morning. Thanks again for stopping by. Thanks to our friends at Rose City Air and Ultra Federal Credit Union for giving us some assistance with this as well. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks for watching this live broadcast from Doc Deason's Weather. When weather's at its worst, we're at our best. Doc Deason's Weather, the calm in